You know that moment, mid-July, maybe August, where you step outside and the air hits you like someone opened an oven door directly into your face? You retreat back inside, crank the AC, grab iced water from a refrigerator that hums quietly in the corner like it owes you nothing. Now delete all of that. Delete the AC, delete the fridge, delete the house actually, at least the version you're picturing. Delete glass windows, delete cold drinks, delete the concept of ice outside of a mountain peak. Now stand in 112-degree heat somewhere in ancient Mesopotamia around 3000 BCE. The Tigris River is half a mile east. The sun has been up since 5. It is now noon, and the ground is so hot that barefoot children hop between patches of shade like the dirt is on fire, because it basically is. So how did they do it? Not just survive, but build entire civilizations, raise families, grow crops, fight wars, all under a sun that didn't care about any of it. They got creative, ruthlessly, brilliantly creative. The first and most important weapon against heat wasn't a tool, wasn't a drink, wasn't clothing. It was walls, thick ones. Ancient Egyptians, Mesopotamians, and Indus Valley people figured out something that modern architects are only now circling back to: thermal mass. If you build your walls from mud brick, packed earth, or stone, and you make those walls thick, sometimes 2 feet deep, something beautiful happens. The heat takes all day to push through. By the time the warmth finally seeps inside, it's nighttime. The air outside has cooled, and the wall starts releasing that stored heat back outward. Your house becomes a slow, dumb, magnificent battery that's always 12 hours behind the weather. In Persia, modern-day Iran, they went further. They built wind catchers, tall towers on rooftops, open at the top, designed to scoop moving air from above and funnel it down into the rooms below. Some of these towers channeled air over underground water channels first, so the breeze arrived cool and slightly damp. No electricity, no fans, no compressor coils, just geometry and a deep respect for the fact that hot air rises and cool air sinks. In ancient Egypt, wealthy homes had ventilation shafts oriented to catch the prevailing north wind of the Nile. Poorer families wet reed mats and hung them across doorways. Every breeze that passed through arrived 5 or 6 degrees cooler, carrying the green smell of river water and damp grass. Visual cue: 3,000 years before the patent. Here's the thing modern people forget. Ancient humans didn't fight the heat. They scheduled around it. A farmer in ancient Egypt didn't wake up at 7, commute by 8, and work through the hottest hours because a manager told him to. That would have killed him. Literally. He woke before dawn, probably around 4 in the morning, the Nile Delta air still carrying the cool metal smell of night. He worked hard for about 4 or 5 hours, tilling, harvesting, hauling water, repairing irrigation channels. By 10 or 11, he stopped. Not because he was lazy, because the sun at noon in Upper Egypt can reach 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and there's no version of human will that outworks heat stroke. The midday rest, the ancestor of the Spanish siesta, the Italian riposo, wasn't cultural laziness. It was biological intelligence passed down through generations of people who watched their neighbors collapse and learned the lesson the hard way. Work resumed in late afternoon, 4-5 p.m. When the shadows stretched long again and the ground stopped radiating that shimmer you could see from a distance, Romans adopted the same rhythm. The Latin word merides, midday, gave us the word meridian. But for Romans it also meant stop. Shops closed, Senate recessed, bathhouses filled, the city exhaled, the rich retreated to shaded courtyards with fountains. The poor crowded under public porticos, long covered walkways built specifically so citizens had somewhere to exist between noon and 3 without dying. Every ancient civilization that survived extreme heat shared one non-negotiable rule: stay near water or bring water to you. The Indus Valley civilization, around 2500 BCE, built public baths at the center of their cities, not as luxury, as infrastructure. The Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro was waterproofed with bitumen, surrounded by covered corridors, a communal cooling station disguised as civic architecture. Ancient Egyptians soaked linen garments in water and wore them damp. The evaporation pulled heat directly off the skin. That sharp, clean smell of wet linen drying in dry air, that was the scent of survival. Roman aqueducts weren't just engineering flex, they fed public fountains on nearly every city block. Citizens drank, splashed soaked cloths, slaves carried amphorae of cool water through wealthy homes, pouring it over the stone floors, so the evaporation cooled each room from the ground up. In the deserts of North Africa, the Amazigh people stored water in goatskin bags. Not clay, goatskin, because the leather was slightly porous. A thin layer of water always seeped to the surface and evaporated, keeping the water inside measurably cooler than the surrounding air. A living thermos made from a goat. Clothing in extreme heat is counterintuitive if you think like a modern person. You'd assume wear less, but ancient desert peoples often wore more. Loose, flowing, light-colored robes that created a microclimate between fabric and skin. Bedouin communities wore layered garments, dark outer layers that absorbed heat before it reached the body, while the air gap between layers created convection currents. The fabric breathed. The person underneath didn't cook. Meanwhile, in ancient India, during the hottest months, Grishma Ritu, Ayurvedic texts prescribed specific diets. Less meat, less grain, more fruits, buttermilk, cooling herbs like vetiver and sandalwood. People rubbed sandalwood paste on their foreheads and chests, not ritual thermoregulation. Sandalwood has a measurable cooling effect on skin contact, and that woody, sweet scent lingered through the worst afternoon hours like a quiet promise. Children played in rivers, elderly rested in underground rooms. Some homes in Cappadocia and Persia were carved directly into rock, maintaining a near constant 65 degrees year-round while the surface broiled. Communities ate their largest meals at night, when cooking fires wouldn't turn homes into furnaces, and when the body could digest without competing against external heat for blood flow. Sleep happened on rooftops. Thousands of years before anyone had a balcony or a penthouse, entire families dragged bedding up mud brick stairs and slept under open skies. The night breeze did what no wall could, carried the heat away while stars wheeled overhead, indifferent and enormous. Here's what gets lost when we talk about ancient people and extreme weather. We frame it as suffering, as endurance, as something they got through, but they didn't experience it that way. Those rooftop nights were where families told stories, where children counted stars and invented constellations their parents pretended to believe in, where couples lay close even when it was too warm because proximity meant something that had nothing to do with temperature. The midday rest wasn't wasted time. It was when songs were composed, when elders napped with grandchildren tucked against them, when someone carved a small figure from leftover clay just to see if they could. The river wasn't just hydration, it was where teenagers splashed each other and pretended they weren't flirting, where women gathered in the cool of early morning to wash linen and share news that functioned as the only information network for 100 miles. They didn't have air conditioning, they had each other. They had patience. They had 10,000 years of accumulated observation about how wind moves, how water cools, how stone remembers temperature, how the body talks if you bother to listen. We turned on the AC and forgot all of it in about 2 generations. Maybe the heat wasn't the enemy. Maybe forgetting how to live with it was.